بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
We Muslims living in the current day and age that we live in, many of you know what is happening around the world. Everybody knows what's happening in Gaza and Palestine. Everybody knows what's happening in Sham, Syria. We all know what's happening in Iraq. We know what's happening even in Pakistan. If you have been up to date with what's happening in Pakistan, entering the red zone, etc. It's Pakistani politics, don't worry. You was once Pakistan as well, until you formed your own country. MashaAllah. We see that Muslims in the world living in the 21st century are different from Muslims that lived in the first century. In the first century of Islam, the Muslims then were a lot different to what we are today. Illa mashallah. The Prophet ﷺ said, خَيْرُ الْقُرُونِ قَرْنِي ثُمَّ الَّذِينَ يَلُونَهُمْ ثُمَّ الَّذِينَ يَلُونَهُمْ. The best generation is my generation, best time is my time. Then it's the time that follows that, then it's the time that follows that. It's the generation after, then the generation after. And how true? The Prophet ﷺ's generation is the best generation. It's the golden generation. Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam's generation is the best of all times. From past and present and certainly in the future. Islam was strong then. Islam started. And the Muslims became strong and strong and strong. And unfortunately, over the centuries, Islam has always been there. Muslims have grown in number. Right now, the current population of Muslims around the world is 1.7 billion. There are nearly 1.7 billion Muslims in the world right now. That means the world's population is nearly 7 billion is the world's population. And we are nearly 1.7 billion of this world's population as Muslims. That's a large number. That's nearly 2 in every 7 are Muslims. 2 in every 7 are Muslims. That's amazing a lot. That tells you Islam is growing. And there's no doubt, in the 21st century, Islam is the fastest growing religion. And according to the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, if we study and analyze, Islam will become the most predominant religion around the world. That there will come a point from east to west, everyone will be Muslim. We learn this from the ahadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. But us living here now, that could be in 100 years, 200 years, Wallahu a'lam, Allah was best. Right now as Muslims, especially if we look at Muslims living in the United Kingdom and the West, Alhamdulillah, we live in a country that gives us many rights. That gives us, and we live in great amount of freedom. We have many rights, we have many benefits living here. However, despite having many benefits, many rights, despite setting up businesses here in the United Kingdom and the West, if we look at the general state of the Muslims, even though we are not fighting each other, but look at how far we are becoming from the deen, how far we are getting away from the deen, getting further and further away from the deen. People are not interested in Islam no more. They're more interested in being modern and up to date. They're more interested in following pop stars and footballers. They're more interested in looking up to musicians and rock stars and rappers. They're more interested in emulating them, looking like them, talking like them, walking like them. They're more interested in dunya and the people of the dunya. They're more interested in Indian Bollywood movies, actors and actresses. They're more interested in the dramas on TV. They're more interested in the dunya, living here in the West than in the deen, illa masha'Allah. I'm not talking about everyone. There are many exceptions to this as well. Many exceptions, many mashallah brothers are coming on the deen, just as many brothers are interested in the deen. There are many who are interested. There's no doubt in that. But we generally tend to see more are not interested than interested. Especially in today's day and age. That's maybe because in the world we live in, the part of the world we live in, it glorifies and exalts badness rather than goodness. It exalts and glorifies that more than goodness. MashaAllah, it does highlight the good people do, but we generally tend to see in the news everything that the bad, you see newspapers are filled with good sells. So if somebody has burnt a house down, rather than somebody has saved somebody from a burning house, the one who burnt the house down will be in the news more so than the one who has saved the one from burning in the house. That's how it works. If somebody is wrong, it's what sells the newspaper, the tabloids. If it sells, then mashallah, fantastic. So unfortunately, this is one reason why we generally tend to see and highlight more of the bad in society than the good in society. And Muslims living in the 21st century, we have all the facilities. We have everything. Just this one iPhone has given us so much control, has given us so much freedom, has allowed us to tap into so many things. Just one iPhone. The one invention of this mobile phone, the Samsung Galaxy S5 and S4. The internet, World Wide Web, Facebook, Twitter, social media, allows you to express your own opinions. These are all mediums and appliances and applications that have allowed us to become so free, to become so azad, as they say. And unfortunately, in the process of that, it has replaced the Quran, it has replaced the Deen, it has replaced Allah's Rasul in our lives. We are unfortunately more interested in Facebook and Twitter, especially young people. I'm talking to the youngsters here. I'm sure Haji Saab doesn't have a Facebook or Twitter. I'm sure he doesn't know what Facebook or Twitter is. Not Imam Saab, the one behind him. I know Imam Saab probably does know what Facebook and Twitter is. But it's in the 21st century. 2 centuries ago, 200, 300, 400 years ago, what was Facebook? Would they have ever thought of Facebook? Never. They would never have thought, they didn't even know that they would have planes that would be flying in the air. Saying that there are people who live in this world at this moment in time who don't believe in planes. They just say it's impossible. That how can men fly in the air? It's impossible because maybe of a backward thought or thinking. The reality is the world is moving on and it's moving on very fast. It's advancing so much. The dunya is getting so quick. Look, everything is quick, isn't it? Now on TV, it's all about fast cars. Who has the fastest car? It's all about speed. And at the same time, when you have internet at home, it's all about who has BT Infinity, the fastest internet broadband. It's all about speed. Everything's got to be quick. Quickly, get it done with it. That's the world we live in. The world we live in, it's going quick, it's going fast. And we should be up to date with the world we live in. Being up to date with the world we live in isn't wrong. It's not wrong to be up to date. It's not wrong to have an iPhone. It's not wrong to have a television at home. Look, many people say they blame the iPhone. They say the iPhone is haram and wrong. Well, I say, look, the iPhone is doing its job. This glass's job is to put water inside and drink. The very same glass that can smash it on your head. Is it the glass's fault or is it my fault? It's my fault. I chose to hit it on you. But the glass, it was created for a purpose. The purpose was to drink water from it. If I don't utilize its purpose, then the glass is wrong, I'm wrong. Likewise with the iPhone. It was created to make communication better. It was created so that you could have everything in your hand. Whether that's good or bad, that's a different question. But how you use it, that's up to you. You have the control, it's in your hand. If you want to, you can watch haram, you can do haram on this. At the same time, if you want to, you could spread the deen of Islam through this. The same with Facebook, the same with Twitter, the same with social media, the same with YouTube, the same with, you could go and upload a video of you dancing hysterically in your attic upstairs, or you could go and upload a lecture so hundreds can benefit from it. Now, it's just a medium that's going to advertise, promote, give a service. It's how you use that service that matters. So the world we live in is moving fast. The world we live in is going very quickly. And we are moving on with this world. We've got to be up to date. But there's a fine line. We can't allow these things to take over our lives. Unfortunately, iPhones, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 3, FIFA 13, FIFA 14, games like Call of Duty, especially for these young kids, they take over their lives more. And then that's for those who are 12, 13, 14 years old. Those who are 17, 18, it's about going out and chilling with your friends, being cool, having the freedom to go out when you want, come back when you want. And when you get a bit older, then it's about, I need to get rich, I need to get rich, I need money, I need money. When these young boys, they're not interested in money. When they get to the age, then they're going to be worried. When I was 13, 14, I didn't think I want to be rich. That wasn't my thought. Now I'm 23, 24, I still don't think I want to be rich, but I need to provide for my family, I need to pay my car insurance, all these things, these outgoings. So it comes with age, it's a phase. And if we look at children, for them, what is it? It's all about computer games. It's all about the friends, football, or that I want to go to the park, that I want to do this, I want to do that. That's what it's all about for kids at that age. And then those who are teenagers, but I'm independent now, I'm a big boy, you can't tell me what to do. I went to school. And when you're 16, you think the whole, there's no bigger gangster in the world than you. There's no better man on this planet than you. That's, as young people, we think that. And then when you get to the age of 21, 22, you realize, okay, the world's quite big. In my little world, I might be the biggest gangster, but in the big world, I am nothing. It's unfortunate many of us haven't seen outside Oldham or Bradford. It's the reality. The world is a huge, huge place. We only know what's in our little world around us, but the reality is huge. There is so much in this world to see. Siru fil ard, Allah said in the Quran, go travel the world. Siru fil ard, do serve of the world. Go travel, go check the world out. Go check my land that I've created, go see what I've put on it. Siru fil ard, fanzuru kayfa kana aqibatu lil mujrimin. Go see what we have done to those who did wrong, what's left of them, the example that Allah has left of them. So go and look at the world. The world's a big place. It's moving fast. Everything is quick now. We have to be up to date. But the fine line is, we shouldn't allow ourselves to get sucked into this world. Don't be best friends with the world. Keep the dunya at an arm's length. The world today wants us to become best friends with it. It wants us to think about it more than we think about the akhirah. This is what the dunya wants from me and you. It doesn't want us to think about the akhirah. It's like, yeah, the akhirah will come when I'm 60, that's when I'll change. It's mentality. As young children, in your 20s, in your 30s, you want to chill out. Astaghfirullah, ma'adullah, many young people want to go out into nightclubs. They want to club, they want to dance, they want to chill, they could party animals, university, all of these things. Then in time you get married, you have children, you have to earn, etc. And then it gets to a point when, okay, I realize maybe I could die anytime, so I need to change now. You see, it's better that you change as a young person than changing when you're old. It's easier to change when you're old. It's harder to change when you're young. When you're young, it's hard. Very, very hard. It's tempting. Look, everyone's got big cars. Everyone's chilling out. So many young lads. You might be sitting here thinking, well, look, my boys in here. They're all out chilling, watching football. And what am I doing in this masjid listening to this movie? Why am I listening to this Imam? That's when you might be thinking that. See, again, this is the age to change. This is the age to fight shaitan. This is the age to earn good deeds and to be good. This is the age. Not when you're 60, 70. I'm not saying if you become 60, 70 and you start doing good, it's not going to help you. It will help you. But it will help you even more if you did it when you were 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Because shaitan attacks you more when you're young than when you're old. When you're old, he's not bothered. He will say, oh, you're old now, go to the masjid. Go. What are you going to do? Who are you going to pull when you're 70, 80? What car are you going to zoom around? You can't get into it. A micro, never mind a Lamborghini. Forget it. There's no point, don't worry about it. But that's the reality. When you're 17, 18, they don't have as much desires as those who are 17, 18. When you're 17, 16, 17, 18, it's the most dangerous age. And it's sad that our parents in the world we live in this 21st century, parents have got so modern, so forward-thinking, that they are more interested in the children becoming doctors, lawyers, more interested in them becoming successful in the dunya than the akhirah. They are not worried about the akhirah of the children. You know, you look at the history of Islam, you know, in the previous ages and generations and centuries, you see the Muslims, the parents then, the way they were thinking, fine, they didn't have Facebook, Twitter, they didn't have the distractions that me and you have, but they still had distractions. Shaitan was still then like he is here today. We've got these distractions. But again, is it a distraction? Does it distract you from the deen? If it's going to distract you, then leave it. If this is distracting you from the deen, then you stick to Nokia 3210. It's the phone for you, if it's going to distract you. And if it's not going to distract you, then and you can utilize it in a good way, then it's fine. I feel good for you. Again, it's up to you as a person. It's you have control, it's in your hand. It's how you think. If you think good, then you will do good. If you think bad, then you will do bad. And parents in the past, in the previous times, their thoughts were different. The way they thought, the way they wanted their children to become religious and pious. They wanted the children to emulate the Sahaba, to emulate the Tabi'een, Atba' Tabi'een. You know, Khalid ibn Ma'dan radiallahu anhu, very famous Tabi'i. He met the Sahaba, he used to sit with the Sahaba. Khalid ibn Ma'dan radiallahu anhu, Qadi talks about him in his Shifa. He mentions the narration of this. Khalid ibn Ma'dan, he used to have a habit as a father. He would get his daughters and sons together at night time, before they would go to sleep. After Maghrib, he would get them together, and what would he do? He'd get them together and he would start talking about the Prophet ﷺ. Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam like this. Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam like this. Then he'd go up to the Sahaba, start talking about Al-Khulafa al-Rashidun. Sayyidina Abu Bakr, Sayyidina Umar, Sayyidina Uthman, Sayyidina Ali, Radiyallahu anhu. He would say Abu Bakr used to be like this and Umar was like. He'd sit with his children talking. And eventually he'd start crying. In love, in the absence of his beloveds. He would cry in yearning for them, in meeting them. He would be like this. His daughter said that by the end of the night, in the middle of the night, my father would cry and he'd fall asleep. And every night, this was his ma'mul. This is what he used to do. This was his amal. He used to every single night sit us down and talk about Allah and His Rasul and the Sahaba. Now, why did the father talk about the Sahaba so much? He loved them, he wanted to be like them, but he wanted his children to be like them as well. So he would sit and talk about them all night. Abu Bakr Siddiq was like this, and Umar bin al-Khattab, and Ali bin Abi Talib, and the Prophet ﷺ, and this is how in joy and happiness, and then eventually in missing them, in separation, he would begin to cry. Cry, and his daughter would say, he'd go to sleep like this. Allah. Our parents send the children up and says, I'm busy watching Bangla TV or I'm watching some drama. fact and reality. How much time do our parents spend with their children? We're more interested in them bringing money home than our children becoming religious, pious, good. We're more interested in them becoming successful and rich. We're more interested in them giving us a good name than interested in them having a good name in the akhirah. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't encourage our children to study in universities, or we shouldn't encourage them to earn degrees and have good jobs. No, I'm not saying that. I'm not against that. I'm saying, what's the priority? Is that the main objective of our existence in this world? Or is our main objective and existence in this world to please Allah and His Rasul? And are we making Allah and His Rasul happy living in the 21st century? Are we making them happy by chasing the dunya and missing our salah? Or are we upsetting Allah and His Rasul? The Prophet ﷺ said, every day the actions of my ummah are presented to me. تُعْرَضُ عَلَيَّ أَعْمَالُ أُمَّتِي. The actions of my ummah are shown to me. I see what my ummah does. Even after the Prophet has passed away, the Prophet ﷺ sees what we are doing. That knowledge is given to the Prophet. Here, look, your ummah is doing this. The Prophet ﷺ says, when my ummati, my follower does something good, I praise Allah Almighty. It makes me happy. My follower is following my way. He is doing the right thing. When my ummati does wrong, then I do istighfar to Allah. I said, oh Allah, forgive my ummati. It upsets the Prophet ﷺ. We shouldn't be upsetting Rasulullah ﷺ, but rather we should be making them happy. And we should live our life aiming to please Allah and His Rasul. These mobile phones, cars, the clothes we wear, the degrees we earn, the jobs we have, this is just the nature of getting us through this world. It's just a means. The commodities to get us through, pass our time here. It's not the reality. It's not our main objective. It's just supporting us to help us. That's what it is. And if you look at the Sufi sages of the past, the great awliya of the past, they preferred simple lives. They didn't want big properties. They didn't have aims of having big businesses. Not that it's wrong to have that. Fine, if Allah has blessed you with a big business, if Allah has blessed you with a big house, this is from the ni'mah of Allah Almighty. We should thank Allah that Allah has given us this from halal income, halal earning. I'm not saying that's wrong. But the men of Allah, what would they prefer? Would they rather prefer lavish? Would they rather prefer the glamour of the dunya, or to be glamorous in the akhirah? They would prefer the glamour of the akhirah. They would rather be clothed and crowned with the crowns of Jannah and the clothing of Jannah. They would rather have mansions and cribs and palaces in Jannah than having big cribs and palaces in the dunya. The men of Allah think like that. They don't think like how we think. How am I going to live? What if I don't have money? How are you going to feed? The world, Allah has run the world for this long. Allah Almighty has all qudra and power. Allah is the best of providers. Why are we worrying? Allah provides for everyone who is living in this world. For every animal, Allah is providing for them. And if Allah Almighty isn't, and Allah is the best of providers, there's no doubt. And if somebody, you might say, well, Imam, there's people, poor people dying in the world. It's a test from Allah. We see it as a test from Allah. If I don't have food tonight, it's a test from Allah that am I patient or not? Once somebody asked Bishr Hafi or Junaid al-Baghdadi, tell us, how do you live? These were great scholars who lived around 1,000 years ago, 1,200 years ago. How do you live, Junaid Baghdadi? What's your state? Tell us how you live your life. He says, look, if we have food, we thank Allah. If we don't have food, we are patient with Allah. He gives. If today we live, he said we live like how the dogs of Bukhara live, that's how we live. If they have food, then they have food. If they don't, they don't. And Sayyidina Junaid said, we live in a state better than this state. Even if we don't have, and he said, if we don't have food and we get food, then we give this food to other people so they don't starve. He said, that's how we live. We make sure others aren't starving. See, these were the men of Allah. They had goodness inside them, great level of goodness inside them that they wanted good for everyone around them. They put themselves to one side and put others before them. Today we put ourselves before everyone else. There's not that selfless nature inside us. There's a selfish nature inside us, unfortunately. That's what's growing inside us. It's this selflessness, considering yourself as nothing that's going to make us successful. Man tawada'a lillahi rafa'ahu Allah. The one who observes and acts humbly, in humility, then Allah will elevate him, Allah will raise him. And the one who becomes arrogant, man takabbara, Allah Almighty is going to lower him, not going to put him down. He'll become disgraced. Allah Almighty doesn't love the arrogant. Allah doesn't love people who have pride inside them. They're not proud. We should remain humble, remain kind, generous, grateful for what we have, and grateful for what we don't have. True gratitude is when you don't have something, you're still saying Alhamdulillah. And when you have it, you say Alhamdulillah. That's true gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And these are things that unfortunately, sadly, more than what is around, we are seeing at this moment in time in the 21st century. These are traits we are finding. People are becoming more greedy, more selfish. There's no selflessness inside us. Living in the West, we think everyone's made here, everyone's successful, but unfortunately there are homeless people that live in Oldham. There are homeless people around the world. There are homeless people living in Manchester who don't have no homes. It's a fact. In London there are so many people that are homeless. So many people that are homeless, you'll be surprised. You think London, the capital of this country, one of the leading cities in the world, would not have no homeless people? You'll be shocked how many homeless people there are there. This is the 21st century, the West, the world we live in. But sad. So we need to instill these good characteristics and traits inside us. We need to start building this inside us. This goodness needs to grow inside us. Until we don't have this goodness inside us, then we're just Muslim by name, not by action. And in the 21st century, that's what we're seeing. We're seeing a lot of Muslims who have Muslim names but not action. Yes, I have the name Muhammad, I have the name Abu Bakr, I have the name Abdullah, I have the name Zubair, I have the name Talha, I have the name Ali, I have the name Umar. My name is Abdul Rahman, my name is Abdul Mughir. I have all these Islamic names, but how do we behave? We don't behave Islamic. Just having the name doesn't make it Islamic. Having the action upon the meaning of that name, that's what makes it Islamic. Acting upon the meaning of that name. And we need to work out what our names mean and then act in accordance to that. Behave in accordance to that. And that's what's important and necessary for us as Muslims. That's what we as Muslims need to do. Living in the 21st century, it is necessary and important for us to observe a good character, to draw closer to Allah and His Rasul sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. For us to keep the dunya as the dunya is, keep it at arm's length. Hubbu dunya kulli khati'atin. The love of this dunya, it's the peak and pinnacle of all evil. Kulli khati'ah, for every wrong, it's the love of the dunya. It stems from this love of the dunya. If you love the dunya, then this is what happens. And if you don't love you love the akhirah, then it's the peak and pinnacle of all the good that we do. If you do good, you think of the akhirah and do good. You do good because you think, inshallah, in the akhirah I will have a better life. That's why you think, okay, I'm going to do good deeds. We're Muslims, we believe in the akhirah. We're not Muslims, YOLO, you only live once. That's it, you only live once. I live once, I'm going to enjoy my life. Many people have this mentality now. Muslims have this mentality. My Imam said, chill out, no problem, you only live once, innit? We should enjoy, but no, you don't live once. That's the funny thing, you don't live once. You're going to live twice. You live once in this world, you live once in the next world. You need to prepare for that. And the next world relies upon how you are in this world. How you behave in this world depends on the outcome and result of what you get in the akhirah. That's why this world, doing good here, is more important than any time. It's more important for me and you to be good here, because in the akhirah the result will be good as well. And if we be bad here, if we live a life of sin, if we live a life of evil, if we live a life of disobedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then in the akhirah the result will be negative. The result will be a disaster. The result will be very bad for us. And we don't want that. That's not why we are here. Allah didn't send us here. Allah sent us here to get good results. Allah sent us here to be good people, to hang around with good people, to spend in the company of good people. And parents have a huge responsibility and play a huge role in that. As children, it's our duty as parents that we give the best tarbiyah to the children. We give the best nurturing, the best upbringing to the children. Where we instill the love of the Quran into their hearts before we instill the love of the dunya. Imam Jalaluddin Suyuti has a very famous saying. He said that, in relation to your children, he said, before your children get old and the love of the dunya enters their heart, whilst they are young, place the love of the Quran before the love of the dunya. The love of the Quran. Tell them to open the Quran, act upon the Quran, understand the ma'ani of the Quran, the meanings of the Quran. Study the Quran. The Quran isn't just a book that Allah revealed, that we put on the shelf. No, that's not why the Quran was sent. The Quran is the dustur of our life. It's the purpose of our life. It's the way of our life. And we need to attach back to the Quran. We can't leave this Quran. We've left the Quran, unfortunately. How many of us open the Quran and read the Quran regularly? How many of us refer to the Quran and try to understand the Quran? Draw closer to Allah Almighty through the Quran. We're too busy, interested in reading our news feed on Facebook than we are reading the Quran. Unfortunately, it's the fact. It's the truth. It's a fact. It's what's happening with sisters and with brothers. And it's important. Look, I wasn't born with the love of the Quran. I wasn't born with the love of this deen. I wasn't born like this. I was born as a normal child, I grew up. But my parents instilled it inside me. My parents encouraged me to become good. Encouraged me to go and learn the deen. They encouraged me to read the Quran and read namaz. My parents did that. Otherwise, what did I know? Allah in the Quran says, nobody comes into this world knowing. Illa mashallah, unlike the prophets of Allah Almighty, Allah grants them the knowledge. For example, Sayyidina Isa alayhi salam, when he was born, in a few moments, entering into this world, he spoke from the cradle. Because his mother, the Virgin Mary, Sayyidah Maryam, no man had touched her. She gave birth, they said, well, who's the father? There is no father. Directly Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the ruh has been placed inside me. They said, what's your proof? They said, ask the son. And then that's when Sayyidina Isa alayhi salam spoke and said, Qala, inni abdullah, atani al-kitab, wa ja'alani Nabiyya. He said, I am the slave of Allah. And atani al-kitab. Allah has gave me the book. وَجَعَلَنِي نَبِيًّا. And He's made me a prophet. Look, amazing point here. Isa alayhi salam is how old? How old is the Prophet Isa? Few hours, moments in this world. I was asking that question to see if he was listening. Few hours, few moments old. The mother has been questioned. And the mother said, ask the boy will answer. And Sayyidina Isa alayhi salam spoke from their cradle. How old were they? Just a few moments, they weren't 1 or 2 years old. Just a few moments in this dunya. And what did they say? Inni Abdullah. Indeed, I am the slave of Allah. Straight, because what was going to happen in the next coming years, his followers were going to say what? He's the son of God. Christians will say the son of God. So what's the first thing he says? I am the slave of God. I am not the son of God. Inni Abdullah. Atani al-kitab. Allah gave me the book. وَجَعَلَنِي نَبِيًّا, and made me a prophet. He didn't say Allah is going to give me the book, or Allah is going to make me a prophet. How old is Sayyidina Isa alayhi salam? Few days, few moments, few hours, nothing. Just coming to this world, newborn. And they're saying Allah has gave me the book and made me a prophet. What do we learn? We learn that when the prophets of Allah Almighty enter this world, they enter as prophets. And it's when they say that they are the Prophet of Allah, that's the announcement. They are announcing. For example, the Prophet ﷺ, how old were they when they announced they were Prophet? How old? Does anybody know how old was the Prophet ﷺ when they announced they were Prophet? 40 years old? It's a very easy question. Everyone should know the answer. Rasulullah was 40 years old when they announced that I am the Prophet of Allah, Allah has sent me. So the first 40 years, Nabi signs were there. All the signs were there. The Christian monk, Bahira seen it, the Surah seen it, the sign of Nabuwwat of the Prophet ﷺ. So when the Prophet ﷺ was asked, Mata kunta nabiyyan ya Rasulullah, when was your Prophet? What did the Prophet ﷺ say? Kuntu nabiyyan wa adamu bayna ruhi wal jasad. They didn't say, Jabir, you know when I was Prophet when I was 40. No. They didn't say I was a Prophet when I was 40. They said, Jabir kuntu nabiyyan. I was a Prophet, Adam bayna ruhi wal jasad. When Adam was created, I was a Nabi of Allah. I was already a Prophet then.
Takbir!
Allah. I was already a Prophet. كنت نبيا وآدم بين الروح والجسد وبين الماء والطين والنريشن. Mentioned in the Jami of Imam al-Tirmidhi. Allahu Akbar. So what do we learn? The prophets of Allah might have alive. The prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they were prophets even before they were born. Allah gave them grant, especially the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And then they announced this prophet. Sayyidina Isa is an exception to the rule that I mentioned. When we are born as children, we don't know. This was my original point. We don't know. We don't know nothing. We grow learning. We learn it every day. Nobody can come to me here now and say, I know everything. You are still learning. Even if you are 60, you are still learning. Even if you are 70, you will still be learning. You will never reach the end of ilm. You will never reach the end of knowledge. It's a never-ending ocean. And the one who has the most knowledge is Allah Almighty. Most knowledge, He has complete knowledge. Allah Almighty has the complete, most knowledge. He has knowledge of every single thing that He has created. Everything Allah knows. And Allah bestows this ilm. And the most ilm that He's bestowed into is into the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Most knowledge. And the prophets of Allah Almighty and then His awliya and friends, they are given a portion of this knowledge as well. They take from the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah grants them knowledge as well. But we, common people, normal people, we're born, we don't have no knowledge. And then who teaches us? If a child is walking towards the fire, the child doesn't know what's the fire. He puts his hand, he's going to get burnt. He doesn't know, he's never seen the fire before. Who's going to stop the child? Mother and father. No, don't go there. You'll burn your hand. Don't go near the fire. So you grow up thinking, oh, I can't go near the fire. Amazing. We grow up, our parents tell us that don't go near the fire, it's going to burn you. And then sometimes children think, okay, I'll still try. Let's go. So he burns a little finger, he burns it. But our parents need to also tell us there's a bigger fire in the next one. Don't be burned by that fire. Protect yourself from that. How? By doing good things, don't do bad things. See, who's going to teach me? Who taught me? People say, oh, mashallah. You're religious, you're in the deen. Your father must read namaz. Your mother must read namaz. It's because your parents are good, that's why you're good. My parents aren't good. Allahu Akbar. My father is not the most religious man in this world. Just very recently he started growing a beard. So when 15 years ago, my father didn't tell me to go and study the deen. It's the reality, I'll be honest. My mother did. But even then, it never crossed my mind that we're going to make our son an alim or an imam or a speaker, nothing. I said to my mother, I want to go and study the deen. I want to study the knowledge of Islam. I want to have more knowledge. My parents will tell you they were very hesitant in sending me. They said, oh, maybe he might do it, maybe he won't. I said, look, please, let me go. I will guarantee, let me go. And after that, Allah put karam into our lives. Allah blessed us, Allah allowed us to study the deen. And we still study the deen. Now, some will argue, well, it's parents. If you have good parents, then you'll be a good person. I can bring you hundreds of examples where the parents are good. They read the hajj, they do hajj, but their daughters are messed up. Their sons are still messed up. Their sons aren't still guided. They're still on the streets. Their daughters are still doing wrong. But their parents are good. And I'll bring you hundreds of examples where the parents aren't religious, but the children have become religious. So I'm not saying it ultimately lies on parents or ultimately lies on yourself. It's both, give and take. If you have good parenting, parents have done well for you in the 21st century, giving you good tarbiyah, then there's a good chance that you'll turn out good as well. And if you yourself realize, your parents will tell you, like now I'm giving you a lecture, you might get inspired and realize, well, you know what this Imam is saying, he's right. We should be on the deen. Your parents are on the deen, what are you going to do? You're going to go away and get on the deen. You got inspired not from your parents, from another means or another way. That's why it's important for us to try to become better. In the end, when you're 18, 19, you don't read namaz, you can't blame anyone. You're baligh now, you know what's right and wrong. You can't all your life blame others. You've got to take responsibility. You know what's right and wrong. You know not reading namaz is wrong. You know you have to read namaz, it's right. So you yourself have to take responsibility. And that's what we need young people to do now. Those young people who didn't get the best upbringing, they need to realize what's right and wrong and say, okay, now I need to make the right decisions, not the wrong decisions. I need to go in the right way, not on the wrong way. It's all about decisions. It's all about what's right and wrong. And we need to know what's right and wrong. It is a must, it's a necessity for each and every one of us. So as youngsters growing up, yourselves, in the 21st century, it's hard. There's so many distractions, so many temptations. Despite that, mashallah, we get many young brothers, alhamdulillah, thumma alhamdulillah, who are pious, who are on the deen, who have beard, mashallah, who read salah 5 times a day in the masjid. We have many brothers who are going out and studying the deen, who are good to their parents, good to their wives and daughters and children, and good to their brothers and sisters, mashallah. I'm not saying that everything is sour in the world we live in. There are many good things in this world, and we need to increase the goodness. We need to spread goodness around the world. That's the mission. That's what the Prophet ﷺ came to do, to spread goodness in this world, to spread righteousness in this world. And we need to join that crew, that mission, and we need to do the very same thing. And in order to do that, we ourselves need to become good people. We ourselves need to become righteous. We ourselves need to become God-fearing and obedient to Allah and His Rasul ﷺ. And in the 21st century, it's not impossible. It's not impossible. And I'll give you my own example. If me, a youngster born and bred in the streets of Bradford, the born and bred in the streets of Bradford are able to come on this path and try my best. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I have hundreds of flaws inside me. And Allah has covered my flaws and sins. I'm not saying, sitting here, saying that I am an angel, no. But I give you my own example. If I can do it, coming off the streets of Bradford, studying the deen and trying, then it's not impossible for no one. If Allah wills, somebody who is completely misguided, Allah can guide them. And if Allah wills somebody who is guided, he can be misguided. It's entirely to Allah Almighty. فَمَنْ يُضْلِلْهُ فَلَا هَادِيَ لَهُ وَمَنْ يَهْدِ اللَّهُ فَلَا مُضِلَّ لَهُ. The one who Allah guides, there's nobody who can misguide. And the one who is misguided, there's nobody who can guide. And that's why we should ask for guidance. Oh Allah, grant me hidayah. Oh Allah, guide me to your path. And isn't this the dua we make every salah? Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. Oh Allah, guide us to the straight path. Guide us to the straight path. Guide us to the right people. Who are the right people? The right people are those min al-nabiyyin wa siddiqeen wa shuhada wa salihin. These are the right people. These are the people أنعم الله عليهم من النبيين. Allah has had His specific favors upon the prophets, martyrs, righteous people, and the truthful people. This is who we want to be like. These are our naymunas and examples. These are the mithals that we need to follow. These are the people we need to put in front. Not Bollywood, not Hollywood, not Premier League, not La Liga. None of these. These are just for the dunya. This is for now. This is for now. This doesn't matter. It should be secondary. You should keep these things secondary. It's not about legs. It's not about BMWs. It's not about Porsche. It's not about Lamborghini. It's not about PlayStation 4. It's not about MacBook Pro. It's not about Facebook. It's not about Twitter. It's about Allah and His Rasul. That's the reality. And we need to use whatever we have in the right way to get us through this world. But it's the deen that should get us through this world and in the akhirah as well. And that's the most important thing that we need to keep in mind, we need to bear in mind as Muslims. Living in the 21st century has many benefits and there are many cons. But again, deep down, it's me and you. Many brothers say, I finish with this, Imam Sahib, sisters even possibly think like this as well. I wish I could go, get out of this country, there's so much fitna here. So much fitna here, I want to get out of here. I want to go live in some mountain and no fitna nowhere. Just me on my own seclusion. It's an easy life. I think every pious person would want an easy life like that. But maybe Allah has put you here for a reason. There's a reason for why you are here. And that reason is what? That despite so many distractions, temptations, so much going around you, you still hold on to the deen. You still hold on to the Quran and Sunnah. You still hold on to the rope of Allah Almighty. You don't let anything around you. You do not let the storm of fitna, you do not let the storm of temptation blow you and destroy you. You stand firm like a tree rooted in the ground, that nothing's going to move this tree, nothing's going to move this mountain. That's how you should be living in the West. Strong on your deen, yet still up to date with what's happening around the world. Still up to date with what's happening right now. We can't be completely backward and we can't be completely forward and modern. We need to find the balance. As Muslims, balance is the key. And that's what is missing in our lives. We are imbalanced as people. We need to be balanced with the dunya and the deen. Dunya and the akhirah, there needs to be a balance. Of course, more for the akhirah, more for the deen than the dunya and this world. More, no doubt. But we still live in this world, we've got to go play along with the world, as they say. And that's important. Live in this world, but don't let the world live inside you. That's the motto of the men of Allah. They used to live in the world, but the world didn't live inside them. That's what it is. We shouldn't let the world live in us. Don't let FIFA and PlayStation dictate you. Don't let mobile phones dictate you. Don't let them move you. Be dictated by Allah and His Rasul, the Quran and the Sunnah. Be dictated by passion for the deen. Be dictated towards doing good. Push yourself towards good. وَصَارِعُوا إِلَى مَغْفِرَةٍ مِنْ رَبِّكُمْ وَرَحْمَةٍ. And run. بِسُرْعَةٍ, go quickly, move towards the forgiveness of your Lord and His mercy. That's what we should be pushing towards. I make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows us to understand what I've said, and Allah gives us tawfiq to act upon what I've said. It's important that we understand these things. These are simple, plain reminders for myself first and foremost, and then yourselves. Allah gives us tawfiq to act upon what I've said. Forgive me if I've said anything wrong. Wrong is from me. Good is from Allah and His Habib, Sayyidina wa Nabiyyina Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. Wa aqul qawli hadha astaghfirullah li wa lakum wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Assalamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah we make dua. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina wa Nabiyyina wa Mawlana Muhammadin tibbil qulubi wa dawaiha wa afiyatil abdani wa shifaiha wa min al-absari wa diyaiha wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. ربنا فاغفر لنا ذنوبنا وكفر عنا سيئاتنا وتوفنا مع الأبرار. اللهم اغفر لجميع المؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات. ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا أو أخطأنا. ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا. ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. اللهم انصر الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم أيد الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم إنك عفو كريم تحب العفو فاعف عنا يا عفو يا كريم. اللهم يا شافي الأمراض اشف مرضانا. اللهم يا قاضي الحاجات بحاجاتنا. اللهم يا حل المشكلات حل مشكلاتنا. اللهم يا دافع البليات ادفع بلياتنا. اللهم يا شافي الأمراض اشف مرضانا واشف سائر المسلمين. وأفوض أمورنا إلى الله إن الله بصير بالعباد. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. آمين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.